Well, hello, everybody. Here we are in, believe it or not, February. I don't know how February came so quickly, but we are nonetheless here, and I'm excited to get to talk to all of you. I not many students join us live, but lots of students watch us on our YouTube channel. So I really appreciate the fact that students take time to kind of hear what the graduate dean has to say and what the guests of the graduate dean have to say. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Monica Powell. I'm the Senior Associate Dean and Grad Dean here at the Jindal School. And once a month, we have chat with the Grad Dean. And it is often the case, as it is this month, that I will find something that I might pontificate on. It is generally wise advice that somebody of my age and experience is worthy of giving to young students. So I hope that you'll take this month's advice in the right framework. I've really been focusing on a podcast lately that talks about random acts of kindness. There is no greater joy for me that when I walk through the school and I see a random act of kindness. A couple of weeks ago, there was a poor student trying to get in the back door who was on crutches with a backpack. And this random student came up, grabbed the backpack, and didn't even know them and said, "Look, I'll get you to your class." I love that kind of random act of kindness. There's this group of students that play games down in one of our lobby areas in the building, and they're always there. They're generally there on Fridays, but on this day, it was a Wednesday, and somebody had gotten all excited in the game and the pieces went everywhere. And I just loved how all the students around him just jumped in to kind of put the mahjong board back together. I think that's a real characteristic of our school. So I was thinking, what are the random, not so random acts of kindness that you may be able to do on behalf of the school? When I'm talking to students, oftentimes they focus on the things that are giving them the greatest grief. The project where the team won't get together and work on a timeline, or the test that's really hard to study for, or the subject that I feel a little bit uncomfortable with. But they don't stop and think about all the things that they should really be joyful about. The great class they had where they learned something that is going to help them land that internship. The great interaction that they had with a student who helped them study in a course when they didn't have to help them, but helped them anyway. There's all kinds of things that I think that you can be grateful for. And remember that being grateful for the hard stuff is when you grow the most. And when you recognize that things are hard and things are difficult and you seek to resolve them, that's when you grow. That's when you become a better version of your own self. So I'm going to ask you to help our school with a not so random act of kindness, because I know our students, and when I'm in the building, students stop me all the time and they say hello. They tell me where they're from. They tell me about an experience they're having. Sometimes they ask me for advice. But one major thing that I hear from students when they stop me is how happy they are to be here. Happy they are to be enrolled in the program that they're in, or happy that they just landed the internship of their dreams, or happy that their best friend from back home is coming to enroll in another degree program here. So what I would like to ask of all of our students is to do a known act of kindness. And don't forget to promote the school to everybody else, because I know that our students, and we conduct exit surveys with all of our students, and we know how our students feel about our program. They tell us in droves how likely they are to recommend our program. They tell us in droves how satisfied they are with the faculty and the curriculum and the internship and the student organizations and the competitions that they were in. So what I'm going to ask of all of you is to do a not so random act of kindness for your school, and be sure to be out there and be an ambassador for us, because you're our best ambassador. I spend days on end conducting webinars to recruit new students and to tell them about this really cool place where they can come and get a graduate degree. And I tell them about our secret sauce and our superpowers and what it's like to be in our building, and that students are in our building all hours of the day. And we have 75 plus student organizations, and this percentage of our students in our analytics program are getting internships, or our ITM program. And this is what the mean salary is of the students that are graduating. I am all the time talking about the awesomeness of our advising team, how program directors will take time out for students to help them pick a track or a concentration. But we need you. We need other voices other than my voice and voices of our faculty and program leadership to go out there and be champions of the Jindal School of Business. Tell other people about the experience that you've had here. Tell them about that extra something special that happened to you that made a difference for you. And be sure to tell them about our culture. You know, tell them about those random acts of kindness that you've seen in our school. And, you know, if you come here, you just won't be a student or a student number. You'll be a person, and you'll be a person that we care about, that will be committed to your individual success, and that you can come here and make a difference in your future. I will continue to speak the accolades of the school. I just want my army to join me in the crusade, so that we can do some not so random acts of kindness on behalf of the Jindal School of Management. So we have some visitors with us today. One is with us right now, which is Angela Howard. She's our assistant director of our advising operation on the graduate side of the house. And I know I suspect she has some wise words for you as well today. And then in a few minutes, our assistant dean for academic operations might pop in as well to chat with us. You never know what David Widdifield might say. And then of course, Norma is here, and we are always welcome of any questions that you have that you want to put into the chat, because when we're done pontificating, and we appreciate you listening to that, we absolutely will address just urgent deadlines, urgent concerns, things that you have that you need answers to immediately. So Angela, tell us, what is your wise words of wisdom for our students? And I know you have some.
Thank you, Dean Powell. I hope. Let's see. Well, as we know, Census Day has passed, so we have gotten over the hurdle, I would say, with most of the deadlines for the university at this point. But that makes me want to talk about I think you called it last minuteness or last minute-itis.
No, it's last minute-itis.
Last minute-itis.
We need to cure last minute-itis.
Yes. So there is a phenomenon with some students that they will wait until the very last minute to do anything that they need to do. So that is dropping a class, that is changing their program, that is even adding a course. They wait to the end. Not everybody. Some students are well prepared and they do everything before, and we may see them here and there if they need assistance, but they overplan, which to me is the cure for the itis that you're talking about. There's so many itises. So that's the main thing right now. We really want to remind you guys to please plan and overplan. I know we say it all the time, and you probably get sick of hearing it from me or Dean Powell or your program directors or faculty of anybody at UTD, but that overplanning does benefit you in the end, because we have had people in the past week who benefited from the ice storm, which is funny because they had the itis of waiting to the last minute. And luckily for them, Census Day did get pushed out. So we were able to assist some people who were having visa issues and things like that, because they would have been deported if we didn't assist them with their enrollment or change of program, whatever issue we had to assist them with. But if that had not happened and, you know, the act of God had not occurred, you would have been out of status as of the 1st of this month. So I want people to think about that. Remember that this is not going to always be the case where the university pushes out deadlines. Sometimes the deadline is just what it is. Not sometimes, most of the time, 99%
all the time.
That is a deadline. So please remember that when you're looking at your classes, when you are looking at internships, we can't always fix everything. And I know sometimes we are the fix-it office of JSOM for our students, but sometimes the university does not allow us to do any fixes for you. So please plan, because we have people who we can't fix. They're coming in there.
Angela, last minute itis, it kind of is the thing that you really want to get rid of as a characteristic. I mean, we have students who will enroll in classes late, even though they could have enrolled earlier. And then they call us and say, but I wanted that other professor. Well, you should have enrolled sooner. You know, we have students who start too late to get an internship, and then the internship approval comes and hits the deadline for registering for a class. And suddenly your emergency, it becomes our emergency. And some of those emergencies we can't fix. But there's also last minute itis that happens in the classroom. And that happens because students are thinking, okay, I'm not doing as well as I thought I would be doing, and it'll all get fixed on the next exam or project or paper. And they wait too long in either going to office hours and talking with a faculty member, meeting with a TA, asking a classmate for assistance or help. And then they find themselves in a position where 50% of the grade has been determined. And in the last 50%, the best they can get is a C in the class. So we all realize that our lives are uber busy. I mean, I can't even fathom what it is like to be a graduate student today, managing everything that is coming at you on your portable device, that makes everything seem like it's really urgent. But it is an issue. It's not an issue for a huge percentage of the students, but it is an issue for students in general, because I think we're just so busy. I think that between, you know, looking for a cure for last minute itis, and there's an opposite polar condition called I over obligated myself, where you're just trying to do too many things. And between those two, you get stuck between a rock and a hard place. So I think that you have to kind of get some balance, and you have to be able to say no to some things, even though they might be attractive. But if you aren't talking to your faculty member until it is too late, then again, there's not going to be much that we can do to fix that situation other than retaking a class. And as a graduate student here, you can only retake 3 classes. And you can only take a single class once, but you can only do that 3 times. So so you have to make sure that you get that right. So I see that David Widdifield has popped in, and you know, David, how do you manage students who come to you too late for academic help in your class? And why do you think that students wait too late to come and say, I'm having trouble in a class? Oh,
you are
muted,
on
David.
mute.
I see it. There we go. No, sorry for running a little bit behind. I think what happens is students come too late for a couple of reasons. One, they're unsure or apprehensive about approaching the faculty member. That's the first thing. The second reason is that they don't understand, or they haven't taken time to read the syllabus to fully understand what the requirements of the assignments have been. And then they turn around when it's too late and we're getting, you know, near the end of the term going, well, how can I make these points up? And it goes back, Monica, to what you were saying about, you know, those 4-letter words, read being a key one. And then, you know, communicate with your professor. I tell the students in my classes all the time, don't take what you hear from your friends or seniors or anyone else. I said, in some cases, not even the TA, I said, go to the professor and talk to them if you're struggling with assignments. The other thing that I find often is that they don't take time, or they don't understand where their standing is in the class, like calculating their grades. They think that those grades that they see or the grades that they have are all there is. And I spend just a lot of time going with students saying, okay, here's how you figure out at any certain point where you are. And if you see you're getting into this danger zone of potentially getting down in, you know, below a B, talk to the professor and say, what can I do? That's what I typically see is happening.
You know, David, that's really great advice. You know, I think there's two things that I just might throw in at the end, is that we often will see some percentage of students who think that the faculty member is obligated to give them extra credit work to improve their grade. Nope. If a professor gives, excuse me, extra credit work to one student, they have to give it to all the class.
Right.
And so don't have this expectation that your faculty member is going to dig you out of that hole, because that isn't going to happen. And then the other thing, which I tell students all the time, your syllabus reading should happen when you're registering for classes.
Yes.
Now, the course syllabus may not be posted for that next semester, but you can always look back at other classes and see the syllabi that are there. And in every syllabus, we break down the grading rubric. It's all there. It'll tell you this test is worth this percentage and this test is worth this, and attendance is worth this, participation is worth that, peer assessment is. So you need to know where you stand as you move through the class. You know, I think that that's one thing that's really remarkable about the Jindal School, as you guys are going out there and doing those non-actum random acts of kindness and being great ambassadors, is that our faculty are so committed to the individual success of every student. And oftentimes those students that aren't successful are the ones that think faculty bite, or they're afraid of them.
Right.
Our faculty are so accommodating, and they'll take the time. Now, they aren't going to put up with being bullied or, you know, being annoying, but they are going to go to bat for any student that's going to put in the time and effort. But remember, you can't expect the professor to reteach you the class. If you're having trouble with concepts, then you need to be reviewing all the reading material. You need to be talking to your classmates first. You need to be going out and securing other resources. Go out on YouTube, go out and do your work, and then go to the professor and say, okay, this is what I think I understand about the class last week, and this is what I'm having difficulty with. The professor will so appreciate your effort on that side. But if you think that you can just go to a professor and expect them to reteach you a whole class without you having done anything, not going to happen. So so keep that in mind. Late itis is a condition that can be overcome. It requires discipline. It requires planning. It requires you being in charge of what it is that you've obligated yourself to do. And that isn't anybody else's responsibility other than your own. And by the way, you guys, that includes your degree plan. You should go out and constantly review your degree plan, constantly look at the degree audits that are out there on e-learning for you. Understand what it is that you need to enroll in. What core classes are you missing? What core class might you need to repeat to improve your core or overall GPA? You're in charge of you. You guys are all grown-ups. So be sure you know, to kind of own that, and don't give that responsibility over to somebody else, because I don't think that's such a good thing. So so I think we've covered non-random acts of kindness that I know that all of you guys are going to be out there doing for us. And we've covered last minute itis and what you can do about that, and how faculty don't bite. But Norma, do we have any questions from students?
Not at the moment, no questions.
So that must indicate to me that our students are really cruising well. So if you have not, if this is the beginning of your second semester here, or this is your first semester here, don't be slow in getting yourself engaged beyond the classroom. I think there's a lot of students who come in the first time and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to wholly focus on what's going on in the classroom. I'm going to make sure that I get those grades awesome that first semester, and then I'll think about venturing out. I would caution you that I think that you can do both. I think that you can perform well academically, but if you wait until you've completed a semester to start engaging, making friends, connecting, getting engaged in student organizations, attending events, you're going to have missed out on all kinds of things that can supplement what is happening in the classroom. A few weeks ago, we had a Dean's Council meeting. It was on a Saturday. And at the end of the meeting, I overheard two students talking to themselves, and they happened to be enrolled in the same class. One of them, I think, was a finance student. I think the other one was a part-time MBA. As it turns out, they were connecting over something that one of them misunderstood as a part of a class assignment. And all of a sudden, it's like, when can we get together and we can talk about that? That relationship wouldn't have happened if those students weren't already engaged. So sometimes those people that can help you traverse difficult times are not found sitting next to you in the classroom or in the faculty member's office. So please just get out and get engaged. I think the other thing that I often will hear students, especially brand new students, and we brought in a lot, about 700 plus new graduate students this spring. And one of the things that I often hear in February is a degree of homesickness. So if you are one of those that might be experiencing a little bit of homesickness, the best way that you can overcome that is get out of your apartment, come into the school, go to the student center, go meet people, get involved in a student organization, and fill your life. Because if all you're doing is studying and being on WhatsApp with mom, you're going to feel like you really need to be with mom. Now, mom might love to have you there, but you're making your future, and that means you have to be accustomed to making your own life. Learn how to cook. Invite a bunch of people over to figure out how to cook. Maybe your mom or your grandmother did all the cooking, and now you got to figure it out for yourself. That could be kind of fun. All kinds of great streaming video and TV and YouTube channels and Hulu, do movie night, get to know your roommates, but get out there and be in the world in which you live, not just a visitor. Be completely in the place where you are, and you're going to have a much more enriching and fulfilling experience here. And also remember, your UT Dallas Comet card gives you the ability to ride DART. And DART is the bus and train system. There are so many places in Dallas that you can go to with your DART card. If you haven't gotten on and gone down to downtown, if you haven't gone to the M Street, Greenville area, if you haven't gone to Uptown or to Deep Ellum, there are so many great places in Dallas that you can go and visit. One of my favorite places is the Dallas Zoo. I don't get down there as often as I like, but I do love the Dallas Zoo. I love the aquarium. I love the state fair area when all of that's going on. So be sure to expand your horizons and take a little bit of risk. So,
Dr. Powell, we do have a question, but before I ask you the question, I think Angela did want to mention something about JSOM Labs as a resource. So I'll go and put her on camera so she can talk about it.
Yes, so a lot of students come in and they're not sure where to go for maybe like academic success coaching or tutoring, and JSOM has a number of labs that are available to undergrad and graduate students. And I know Norma put that in the chat for everyone to see. I recommend you go and check those out. We had a student who came in yesterday who was very nervous about his accounting class because he is in the MS-ITM degree and accounting is not his forte. So we did recommend that he not only reach out to his faculty, but also go to the lab because they have tutoring for you through the week, that if you're in class and you just are not sure of a concept, you can swing over there. They're on the second floor. Most of them are first and second floor, just to get a little bit of extra assistance, and maybe one of the tutors can explain something to you in a way that you understand versus the way that you're thinking about originally. So I just always encourage people to go to those labs. Hopefully we'll have even more coming when it comes to like stats for grad students, because that's a hard one for many of our students who are taking advanced stats, but definitely reach out to the lab tutors, and even some led, like a peer-led tutoring that they have out there. Just look into it and look at that page that Norma put into the chat.
It's amazing, not only the lab assistance that students have access to. I am shocked, literally constantly shocked about what students can find on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You could just put into YouTube, explain this concept, and you will find oodles of really great videos. I wish that I had had access to that. when I was a graduate student in a PhD program, because I had to do it the old-fashioned way. I had to, I found I was really good in one subject. This other guy was really good in research methods. And so I tutored him on what he wasn't good on. And poor guy, he really put in the time on the stats side because we had to kind of hand do everything. We just didn't have the tools that we have today. But there are so many tools that are right at your fingertips. There is no reason that you can't find the resources to help you overcome whatever the obstacle is in your classroom.
Okay, so our first question, this student is saying, what about if we have issues with a teaching assistant, but we feel scared that if we report this TA or raise issues with the TA, we will be targeted? What should we do in a situation like that? How should we handle it?
So that's a really, really great question. If it is a situation with the TA that involves, something that you believe to be inappropriate, then you should email me. And I'm glad to meet and talk with you about it to ascertain, the level of seriousness of your concern. And then I can hear what the issue is. Then I can give you some specific advice about whether or not you go to the faculty member or whether or not you take a different action in that regard. I would probably, most likely, if I felt it was something that needed Dean's office intervention, the person who's actually also on this call, Dr. Widdifield, I would turn it over to Dr. Widdifield, who manages the TARA for the school, and I would have him look into a resolution on that. So please feel free to reach out to me or to Dr. Widdifield about whatever your concern is, and we can give you advice on whether it's something that we should take care of or whether it's something that you just need to be coached in terms of how you have the conversation with the TA. Because sometimes there's a fear that if I bring up how I was graded on a question, that I'm going to offend the TA and then the TA is going to retaliate against me. That's never the case. There could be a way that you can talk to the TA about it, where you can say to the TA, look, I really expected a lot more points on this particular question on the exam. And this is how I understood the question. And this was my answer. Can you help me understand where I missed the points? So maybe if you're feeling like the TA graded that question hard, then there's a certain way that you can approach that conversation so that they don't have to be defensive. So, and Dr. Widdifield's an expert on this. So feel free to reach out to either one of us and we'll be glad to give you some advice.
Dean Powell, if I can add one more thing to what you just said. Yeah, the other thing that I want to remind everybody to do is that many of the programs that you're in, your directors are the ones who are doing the departmental hiring for those TAs. I'd also encourage you to talk with them as well and let them know that this is a possible situation. I had something similar to that happen this past fall in my courses with our supply chain management program. So yeah, your program director is also a good resource. But yeah, I'm more than happy that if you guys run into those kind of situations, reach out to me because, as Dean Powell said, my team, we manage the whole TARA process for the school.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just a little coaching about how to have a difficult conversation. And that's also true of faculty. I think, in some countries around the world, students do not engage with their faculty. They basically sit in a room and listen to what their faculty have to say, where you find out here very quickly that engaging with the faculty want you to engage with them in the classroom, and they're going to want you to engage with them outside of the classroom. And so sometimes students who come from other countries who are not local students or US-based students, they are a little bit uncomfortable with having their initial conversations with faculty and don't know how to do it. Program directors and program support people can give you some great advice about how to have those conversations. 9 out of 10 times you're worrying about nothing. You're just fearing somebody, and we can help you get over that as well.
We have one more question. I'm not quite sure this is something we can help with, but I'll go ahead and ask, and maybe you can provide some insight on what they might be able to do. This person says, we have a lot of on-campus jobs being posted, even though we apply, but most of them just show as pending without being reviewed. And in some cases, positions were declared, and they're asking if we could take a look at it.
So campus, I can tell you what I know about campus jobs. There are lots of them, and they're everywhere. They're in, accounting, they're in the finance department for the university, they're in the library, they're in the police department, they're in facilities management, they're in the bookstore, they're in all of the dining facilities, they're all over the place. And so there are a lot of them, and there are a lot of applicants for those jobs. The reason that, and many of those jobs are just left open all the time, because they are constantly turning over the people that are employed. That student gets an internship, one goes out the door, and so they are constantly left in pending. So that's why you see them in pending. So that means that periodically you may want to go in there and cancel and reapply so that you go back up to the top of the pool, and that will help you. I tell students all the time that the way to get a campus job is to become very good friends with students who have campus jobs. Because oftentimes a dining hall might get 400 applications for 4 spots. And I can tell you that there's probably a dining hall manager out there who might go to the person that's leaving and saying, can you make a recommendation? So it always helps to kind of network with those students that already have positions. And I think you have to be persistent. Those that are persistent, I think, are very successful. I think that as you engage, when we tell students to engage and to be talkative with the places, the people, and the places where they are, then you're going to get to know some of those people. So if you're eating in a dining hall, seek out the manager and say hello to them and thank them for the great work that they do. Let yourself be known. If you're, talking to a faculty member and you know that they hire students for a center, then, express your interest. People generally, because of the value of networking, they hire the people that they know that are the best qualified for the position. So you have to use those networking skills in landing a campus job as well.
And we have one more question that was submitted while we were covering that topic. This person asks, what are we doing as far as fast track students and their transition from undergraduate to graduate school? This person felt like there was a little bit of a communication gap in that transition.
Yeah, I think that is a very fair question and a very fair concern. So we need to do, honestly, I think, a better job of that. And I will mention that to all of the graduate program directors at our next program director meeting, so that they are doing, a welcome for all incoming fast track students into graduate degree programs each semester, because I do think that you feel a little bit lost. Some of the courses that you took as an undergrad are counting in both places. You may have taken some courses as an undergrad that were reserved for grad credit, and so there's some confusion. Understanding the degree plans, if you're coming in with those extra courses, can be confusing. But for any fast track student, while I am communicating to them that they need to reach out, if you are a fast track student and you need that guidance and that reorientation as a now graduate student, reach out to your program director. Introduce yourself. You can reach out to a program manager, an academic support coordinator, and say, hey, my name is Johnny. I'm a fast track student. This is my first semester in graduate school. Can you please sit with me and advise me? I want to know more about the tracks or the concentrations. The one thing that I want fast track students to keep in mind is that you're a unique entity, in that you're generally young. You're younger than our average graduate student because you are coming straight from undergrad into the graduate program. It's not, you may have internships at the undergraduate level, but oftentimes you've not had work experience. So that means that you need a lot more guidance in terms of what does it mean to be in this track in the business analytics program versus this track? Or what's the difference between the business intelligence and mining track and ITM and the cybersecurity? What are those jobs like? So you're going to need a little bit more guidance to be able to leverage that graduate degree into your job. And you don't have the work experience to fall back on. So many of our graduate students come with work experience. So they're getting the graduate degree for exactly the purpose that they know that they're getting it for, so that they can go and do X, and that complements what they've done before the graduate degree program. But our fast track students don't have that. So reach out to the program director. Also, go to the Career Management Center. Talk to one of the coaches that they have there about being a fast track student, and they can help you understand, what are the skills, the tools that you might need to go do X. Where can you go learn about those positions and that particular career track? And they can help you do that. So I'll be sure to remind the program directors, and you be sure to do a little bit of extra homework so that you don't feel like you get left behind when you get ready to graduate from that master's degree program or that MBA.
Perfect. Thank you. Those are all the questions that we have submitted.
Well, terrific. We always have such a great time chatting with our students, and I hope that all of you will remember, to be our best advocates out there. The Jindal School of Management is a great place, and just do that non-random act of kindness and help recruit a future student who might come and have just a great an experience as you have had here. You are our best sales team and best ambassadors. And then secondly, don't forget, there's a cure for your late-mindedness. Get after it, get a plan, don't be guilty of it, and take charge of your journey, so that you don't have to experience academic emergencies that are just not fun. And then lastly, don't ever hesitate to reach out if you have questions or you have concerns. All of our program directors have email addresses that you can send emails to for questions. You can stop by office hours. You can send questions to the JSOM question desk. You can always email grad programs or jindal@utdallas.edu. We want you to get the answers that you need to your questions and get them quickly and not late. So get after it. Make the rest of the semester terrific. You got a little bit of a blessing last week with our Mother Nature freak ice storm. That was a gift. I hope you used that gift to get ahead in your classes. If you didn't, get after it this weekend, so that when you approach midterms, you're going to be ready for those classes. And also just remember one important thing. There are going to be faculty who will have recorded the class from last week, and they will be expecting you to watch that recording, because they're going to run out of time to cover that content. So know what you should be doing for the fact that your class was canceled last, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And don't expect them to just cover missing content in the class. They may provide it to you in a lot of different ways. So pay attention to what that might be. And in the meantime, thank you so much for choosing the Jindal School, and thank you for coming to chat with a graduate dean. If we can help or be of any service to you, please just let us know. And I hope when I'm walking around the school, I will see more of these awesome acts of random kindness, because I think that is our special sauce, our superpower. So you guys take care. Have a great rest of the semester. We'll see you in March.